What would you say, like say if a client approached you, like what are the main sort of common problems, say in the industries that you work with?
So actually the first thing I did was actually hire a business coach.
Okay.
Right.
So like what's been the biggest thing for, putting that, relating that to say your potential clients, people that you chat with them worry, like what's been your mentality about building your businesses?
So it's just looking for inefficiencies and bottlenecks that they don't understand they have. And because you have experience across so many businesses and so much insights on the market, you can then figure out the inefficiencies. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to marketing and scaling marketing, you're going to be looking at the marketing ecosystem, but as you grow the business, you can only grow the business as well as the operations handle. Yeah, so I mean, it's different on every platform. My speciality right now is mail, it's working mail. But when it comes from a meta element, it just depends on what's happening.
What's my cost per acquisition now? It's a bit high, it's a bit low. But like what you're saying is like, yes, it matters, but it's in the strategy for the end of. All right, hey guys, Dean Gravina here, and today I'm with Jude from Lion Advisory. How you going, man?
Oh yeah, I'm going very well.
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
It has, 10 long years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Man, it's really funny. I want to start with a throwback. We actually met at one of the gyms, so you're doing PT before, and you were one of the first guys that I knew that were doing VSLs. But you had a live VSL, you pulled out a laptop, and essentially what happened was you ran us through, me and my partner at the time, you gave us like a free trial, and then you pulled up a laptop and then you ran us through the VSL, and then by the end of the slide I had no choice but to sign up. So that's how it started, man.
Yeah, that was a good deal as well.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a good retainer. It was a lock-in contract.
Yeah, I think it was a lock-in contract, 12 weeks.
Anyway, so that's how we started, and it's really good to connect with you again. I saw some of your ads, and I just thought I'd reach out to you. And man, really, I just want to start. Like, how did because it has been actually 10 years, and how did you even go from the PT to now? Like, run us through like what's been the long story short.
Yeah, well, I started off as a personal trainer when I met you initially, and I realized I was too fully booked. I needed to hire more personal trainers, and in doing that, I focused solely on sales and marketing. So by that time, I had 4 trainers under me over a couple of years across multiple gyms. I then moved into business coaching for personal trainers to show them what I did, and then I moved into just business coaching, and then business coaching into marketing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so that's where we're at today.
Yeah. Because it was really interesting at the time. I think we're pretty much the same age. So 10 years ago, we were quite young, and I was really interested in what you were doing because, you obviously at such a young age had, already PTs under you. What was that like with you starting quite young? You're like early 20s and you already had like a bit of a system going and sales. It's like, what was that like? Yeah,
I mean, initially when I became a personal trainer and took the leap of starting my own business, it was kind of challenging because I didn't know what I needed to do. And the first thing I realized was, I'm no good at this, right? I'm good at personal training and training people, but I'm no good at actually getting clients or signing deals.
Yeah.
So actually the first thing I did was actually hire a business coach.
Okay.
Right. And there was like 3 weeks into running my personal training business, and only 5 weeks after that I was doing 2K a week, and then a year later I was doing 5K a week, and then after I had so much leverage I started traveling, so I did 5 international trips over 12 months while I was running this personal training business. Now I took my foot off the pedal, and PTs are kind of selfish, autonomous, whatever you may call them. Most of my business actually got stolen from me by the time I got back from these trips. And it happened I was actually in Vegas, and I'm looking at my phone, and 60% of my clients are like sending me resignation, like leaving letters. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, wow.
And that's what kind of inspired me to become a business coach as well, because that really accelerated my growth. And then I was like, oh, well, now I've done it, I can do it for other people as well. And that kind of moved me into that whole advisory space, which I love. I love teaching and educating the the masses or individuals.
This is crazy, man. Yeah, like the interesting thing about this is like when I was 20, man, I didn't even know what a VSL was or like how to sell or marketing. And like you were like 21, 22, you're already putting out these pitch decks and hiring people. I think that's pretty impressive, man. Like because there's not that many people at that age that were actually building. Now that I didn't think about it like that at the time, but now that we're sitting here today, 10 years later, I really think you're obviously ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Talking about that, I think the like what I want to like firstly start off with is I know you obviously work with big brands, big e-commerce, and fashion and sport brands. But I think for my audience and for a lot of people that I speak with, they're just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say, like say if a client, approached you, like what are the main sort of common problems, say in the industries that you work with? Like what are the main problems that people, when they're just starting out, like what are the main problems?
Yeah, I love this line of questioning. All right, great. So yeah, I mean, starting out a business, I mean, like, we haven't even known each other. I mean, it's been a 10-year gap since we last even met. Yeah. But in those 10 years, like, you're going to have to fail a lot. Like I've done well. I've failed at tons of businesses. Really only established myself solidly this year.
Yeah.
But that's after, I would say probably like 7 years after the personal training, like 7 years of not really getting a grip on what my actual direction was and what my, I guess in a sense, a purpose or a stepping stone to my purpose was. And I think that's the challenge. Like one of the biggest things for people who are starting out is the inability to start and take action and just like be willing or expecting to fail. Like obviously don't expect to fail. It's not the ideal way to go about things. Expect to win, but be okay with failing and not being scared of failing is probably the first step to really getting any success or any win at the end of the day. Yeah.
So you're saying you get some clients approach you, they're just starting, maybe they haven't started a marketing campaign before, and that's their biggest thing that they're just worried about what's going to happen if you run this campaign.
Yeah. So yeah, that's literally like what I would do is, unless you've either got two kind of options here, you can either outsource it or you can do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
And in most of the cases, if you're starting out, you might not have the resources or the leverage to outsource. So you need to do it yourself, and that's where it comes full circle. You've got to just start. You've just got to launch it. And then once you do it the first time, then you can look through the data, reiterate, improve on the good points, get rid of the bad points, and then you keep improving. After you do something 5, 10 times or 100 times, 1,000 times, you just consistently get better. But you need to have that constructive criticism about what you're doing once it's launched and be able to analyze the data to then figure out what's the best way forward as well.
Yeah. Well, just relating that, like obviously you said a few things there. You said you'd started multiple businesses, you failed, and like now you're at a point, you just mentioned to me, I think you said you have a team of 15, right? And that's really impressive. So like what's been the biggest thing for, putting that, relating that to say your potential clients, people that you chat with, they're worried. Like what's been your mentality about building your businesses and, failing multiple times? Has there been a point that you said, hey, I'm just going to quit?
No. I've never had this is the thing. I've never thought about quitting, in a sense. Sometimes you quit a business because it's actually the best move to make because it actually opens you up. Sometimes the headache's not worth it, right? Like it's the sunken cost fallacy. Like it's like pot committed, right? You've got too much on the table. You've invested so much that you're like, I need to keep going down this rabbit hole. But what you need to do is at that time you need to understand, and a lot of the time it takes a certain level to go, okay, I've gone way too deep into this. Like I'm going to remove my ego and just step away and pivot in a better direction because I've lost way too much money and time and effort into a venture.
Okay, so I get the point, right? So like maybe in one of those businesses it could have been like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess so from the other side of that, you've got businesses that are, just starting and, they're worried about growing. And I think what you said is a really good point in actually, if you haven't started, just start and do it yourself and fail and experiment and then potentially look to hire like a marketing agency. For these bigger companies that have already done all that, they've started, they've become quite established. When they approach you, like what is the actual problems that you solve within their business to help them go from saying whatever it is to where they want to get to?
Yeah, so a lot of the problems with bigger businesses is they don't know, they should know their inefficiencies, but you also don't know what you don't know. So someone like myself who has experience across multiple different niches, different verticals, different industries, you can go into a business and go, okay, these are the inefficiencies. And marketing applies across the board. Similar concepts and mechanisms can apply across all businesses. That's why you can pretty much, you don't need to understand the niche to do really well in a niche for marketing, the concept of marketing. So trying to figure out where the holes are is what you need to essentially do first. And then once you figure out the holes, then you can patch them up. But you need to first diagnose the problem.
What would a hole be?
So a hole could be like, okay, they're from like a marketing perspective, for a bigger brand, they might be running really inefficiently on a certain platform, or they might be not having a holistic strategy, not be planning. They're not understanding the needle movers for them to actually grow in a business. And that can come down to like things like the algorithmic changes on these platforms. They might not realize one of the platforms, the biggest needle mover to grow and scale is content, for example, or a strategy. They might do one, but not the other. Right. So you need to figure out what the challenge with big brands is they're doing everything. So you need to actually dig through the ecosystem. But if you have an understanding of what they should be doing, because they don't know what they should be doing. They just have targets based on like their boards, their CFOs, these kinds of things. You should be like, if you're able to go into that business and understand, okay, well, this side of the business is running really inefficiently from a marketing sense. If we bump this up, then the other side is going to be 2x, 3x as well. So it's just looking for inefficiencies and bottlenecks that they don't understand they have. And because you have experience across so many businesses and so much insights on the market, you can then figure out the inefficiencies, solve the inefficiencies, and then you've got a business that's running like a well-oiled machine. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen consistently, right? As things change and as these platforms pour more and more money into themselves and try to make things easier, the whole market ecosystem just is constantly adapting, and you have to be able to adapt with it, which most companies don't do, unfortunately.
Gotcha, right. But like, I'm more interested in getting into one really good example. Like for example, like when you say inefficiencies, right? You're coming from an advertising marketing point of view. Like, are you looking at inefficiencies from an ad perspective? Are you looking at, okay, like how much does the product cost? This is what our cost per acquisition is, and this is, the margins. Like how involved do you actually get?
Yeah, it depends how big the client is. Like some clients, I like working with more agile business owners, people who have they're in the phase of going from, small, medium to big, and they're not there yet. Right? So they don't have the leverage to hire out specialists. The problem with hiring out specialists, if you don't know a certain area well enough, you don't know how well that specialist is doing.
Gotcha. So in terms of an actual inefficiency, right? So we're speaking about, there's multiple ways to judge that. So if you're a marketing company, right, like we could obviously look at inefficiencies from an ad perspective. So the cost per click might be too high. It's not bringing enough traffic to your website, and then therefore you're not getting enough sales, right? So when you're looking at inefficiencies, what inefficiencies are you looking at from like a larger organization or like a small business? Like what are the main sort of inefficiencies that you can control, say from your company?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to marketing and scaling marketing, you're going to be looking at the marketing ecosystem. But as you grow the business, you can only grow the business as well as the operations can handle it. Yeah. So this, unfortunately, is a double-edged sword, because a lot of the businesses I really love working with and have like a great product and have a lot of scale and potential, they have a lot of inefficiencies down the line, like logistics, operations, accounting, finance, legal, whatever it might be. So I sometimes end up going down a rabbit hole of their entire business.
Yes.
And this is probably coming from my business advisory background as well. Because for us to get the best out of marketing, the business on the back end needs to be able to support your growth as well. And we had this instance where we did really well for one of our companies, one of our clients, who one of my best case studies and my favorite ones, where we actually sold like 3 times more than we expected in one day. In the 7 figures. And we broke their whole logistics system. They had to change warehouses, right? And this was something we didn't even expect.
Yes.
So these are kind of the problems that now we foresee, because, if you set up a really good campaign, you need to make sure the stock's there. You need to make sure the logistics, the fulfillment is all in order. Because if you do go, because you don't know how well a marketing campaign, you know it's going to go well, but you don't know how well. If it goes too well, that causes a whole lot of backlash if, logistics and fulfillment are not in place properly.
Yeah. And that actually leads me on to my next question, what is, in your opinion, like I've run a couple of, e-commerce clients where we've scaled from say 50 a day to like $1,000 a day to $2,000 a day for an e-commerce. That's not my specialty, but I've started to realize that in my mind, there's a key formula that, some business owners think, let's just run a meta ad and let's just promote our product. So my question to you is, when you are taking on these brands, whether it's, maybe you can give 2 examples, one from a smaller startup, product-based business, whether it's in whatever niche, or a larger one, what is the key formula around advertising? What are the aspects of that? Is it just having a good creative, or is there key messaging or key offers that you look at that you need to combo those up before you run an ad?
Yeah, so it's different on every platform. My speciality right now is Meta. It's always been Meta. But when it comes from a Meta element, it just depends on what's happening at the time. So over the last 4 months, Meta's pretty much removed all technicalities from understanding the platform, and it's really come down to creative strategy, creative volume, and creative diversification. So these creative elements actually have pretty much molded how well a company can do on Meta. Right. So that's like the biggest needle mover when it comes to a platform like Meta. So when you're growing a brand on Meta or even Google, you need to first understand, okay, firstly, what are my USPs? Who are the customers that buy from me? Like we might have 20 or let's say 10 different customer profiles that might buy from me. Now we can sell to all these customer profiles, and we can, target them in 5 different ways with 5 different messaging sequences. But even if we can sell to all 10 of them, which are going to be the most profitable? And you as a marketing or you as a business starting out, you need to figure out which of my customer avatars and which kind of messaging is going to be profitable and scalable for the business. Once you figure that out, then you need to double down. Right? And then you can push more budget into it, scale your ad spend, scale your revenue, and then you can start expanding into different customer avatars and different messaging and trying to figure out other pools of audiences to go after. But really you need to figure out initially is where's my money best spent on advertising?
Yeah, so with that question, right? So say like you said, obviously finding your ideal customer profile and then pretty much knowing how to serve them. Like, do you have an example in one of the spaces that you've worked in that you've run a particular offer or to a particular avatar and flopped against what you know right now, what you think right now is working, like what actually works? So
I guess in terms of like niches and stuff like that, the brands are so different. Also locations are really different. So somewhere in like Australia really likes like up to an X percentage off. Or like, but America likes like a buy one, get one, right?
Gotcha.
So the messaging changes depending on the region. And to figure that out has taken a few flops, to be honest. So we've tried, but then once you know the region difference, and also it's very dependent on the niche as well. Like some markets are more accustomed to certain types of niches, and you have to test out a lot of offerings. So we have offers that have flopped and offers that have done really, really well. And then it's really, we know what offer works for what brand. So we might have like a pool of 5 different offers, let's say. We'll look at the data of the brand and what they've done, and from an offering perspective, figure out if that's, the best way to go from our insights, and then we'll push on that and see how well we can make an offer like that go.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's all about testing the waters on offerings. But once you do find the right one, and that's the market that's the offering that's going to work for your particular market, you can push on it really aggressively, but you have to be pushing on it with, you know, the right lead up, which is extremely undervalued in the market these days. The lead up, the hype and the lead up to a campaign or to an offering is the game changer, is the needle mover for the offering.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, and it's very understated.
Well, I only just learnt that actually through running a campaign, because I just thought, you know, obviously, again, not having that much e-com experience in terms of paid, I just thought, these people, they just launch campaigns and then some of them go and some of them don't go. But what I had an experience with one of my clients that we ran off like a TV celebrity, and she was endorsing the product, and it was all that momentum, the lead up and the story. Yes, it was the creatives. Yes, it was the offer, but it was a lead up that actually contributed to the campaigns actually working. Now that we're talking about lead ups, what is your sort of main? I mean, obviously we've got Black Friday coming up. So what is the strategy for the businesses now when it comes to Black Friday?
So what's the sauce as well?
Yeah,
okay.
This is what I want to know. I want to know the juicy stuff. I want to know all the secrets so I can steal them and use them with my e-com clients, which I don't have any e-com clients.
Yeah, so this is actually an important time. It's why you caught me on my ads, right?
Exactly.
Last Black Friday, we actually the case study that Dean over here would have seen was we actually came on with a brand 8 weeks before Black Friday, and they were doing under 7 figures. Yeah. And we did 7 figures in 100 minutes with them.
In 100 minutes?
In 100 minutes, yeah. Or 97 minutes. So that was last Black Friday, and that was just pulling on a couple of levers that they didn't realize they hadn't pulled on yet. Yeah. So once we pulled on those levers really hard during the peak timing, structured the offering, the lead ups, it went bananas.
People want to know the levers.
So the levers for this specific brand was they were getting most of their paid acquisition. 95% was coming through Meta. Okay. Right? And they weren't tapping into Google. Yeah. Now, if a brand's not tapping into Google and they have strong brand presence, a lot of their sales come through Meta. You pull on Google with a really good Google agency, and you are going to able to nearly 1.5, 2x their revenue. Yeah. Because Google and Meta work 1 + 1 = 3. So for them, that's exactly what we did. Right? And so we just pulled really hard on that Google lever as fast as we possibly could, structured it really effectively.
What does that mean though? Like the people watching this, right? You could have a big brand here watching you. Yeah. What would be the Google lever? When you say that, like what does that look like?
So Google is really good at capturing high intent buyers, but it's also really good, and a lot of people only more recently are finding out about this. It can generate a lot of demand from YouTube. Yeah. Now, YouTube, unlike Meta, has a lot less competition in some of these spaces, especially in Australia. And YouTube gets 200 billion views daily, right? It is the most watched platform. So you are able to generate a lot of demand on YouTube, push it to Google. And so now Google is generating it's not only capturing Meta high intent buyers, it's also capturing its own high intent buyers. So you're really capturing the ecosystem in that sense. So you're essentially opening up another revenue stream for yourselves with a whole new audience. So if you're already crushing it on Meta, you've got product market fit, right? Yeah. So it's like, how do I get this product out to more and more people, more and more audiences that haven't seen me? And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. So in terms of, say, the lead up, right? Just to go back and simplify, because everyone's looking for the next, Black Friday strategy. Yeah. I've seen some brands, just big brands that I won't mention here, but just running lead forms to capture emails, sign up. Like, what are you suggesting? Like, what is it? What are you thinking? If you can't give the full...
No, I'll give you the source. It's already too late for you guys to execute most of the strategies. But So essentially right now, the lead up, it really depends on when you're kind of structuring your Black Friday offering, right? So in Australia, it's a really big trend. It's no longer Black Friday, it's like Black Month, right? Black November. Yeah. So people start earlier and earlier and earlier. Yeah. So first it's about structuring what that November month looks like.
So you've already started?
We started a month or two ago. Yeah. So we've already started all this. We've already had Black Friday calls with nearly all the big brands already. Like weeks ago. Yeah. So to succeed in Black Friday, you need to be starting at least 3 months out.
Gotcha.
Right? So in this 3-month window, firstly, you've got to plan out your November, which is a completely separate thing, right? That's what happens in November. Cost per acquisition on new customer acquisition costs 2 to 3 X's because but there's also much more consumer demand. So what this means is in the lead up, you have to go after new customer acquisition.
Yeah.
You have to stretch your marketing efficiency ratio, and really like try to scale your ad spend at the lowest ROAS and profit as possible.
Yes.
As much as your business can stretch, you should do that in the lead up to November because you have a slingshot effect, right? If you can scale it at 1.4 ROAS, November you're going to get 100 ROAS, right? But if you can scale it and then also you're spending more on the platform because the lower ROAS you can scale on, the more ad spend you're going to be running into at November. So if you're starting at 10K, let's say in July or August, you want to be trying to really aggressively scale the lowest ROAS as possible. By the time November rolls around, you're spending 100, 150K a month. Then you go into the sale period with the highest consumer demand. You've got all these new customer acquisition. You've been in front of heaps of people. And then you just run hardcore remarketing, middle of funnel capture. Yeah. And now you've completely transformed your business.
I mean, because you sort of own that remarketing.
Exactly.
I that's an interesting strategy, right? And like in terms of what you're doing now, like the actual, what it is that you're actually doing, you sort of capturing emails or just getting engagement? Like what is what should people be doing?
Heavy new customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Spending, because when you're advertising, you're bidding for a new customer, right?
Right.
And if you're able to bid more than your competitor for that new customer right now, you can then get more new customers.
Like direct to offer, direct to sale right now.
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So it's
no
not
sign-ups,
so that's closer to like the November period.
Okay.
When we're like a month or two out, it's just going up, trying to get as much new customer acquisition as possible because they're going to rebuy, right? The whole thing is it's more expensive to acquire a new customer versus remarketing to a new customer. So if you can get them to buy in August, well, it's going to be very cheap to get them again in Black Friday, even cheaper, and they're going to spend probably more.
That's really interesting, right? Because I've seen some big campaigns just running lead forms, and I thought it actually didn't make sense to me why they were doing that. But actually, what you're saying makes a lot more sense. Spend big now, knowing that you're looking for the repeat business, you're looking for the purchase again.
So you can run the lead forms, but and you can run it you can do multiple things. I have some brands doing a prolonged lead generation strategy where it's over 2 months, and they're using those to retarget. Then you've got it depends on what the lead generation campaign is for as well, right? A lot of brands do giveaways. A lot of brands do sign up to the Black Friday, be the first to offer. One of my brands just did an early release, or they do early releases on their drops. And we changed one of my more recent brands. They normally did a drop, and they had an 80% returning customer rate. Right. And they had no new customer acquisition in place. They were just growing very heavily on socials and stuff like that. So we generated lead generation campaigns a week before the collection drop, collected a fuckload of emails. And then by the time we dropped, we had like a 45 new customer acquisition on their purchases, which was like, they haven't even seen that before. Right. And that's where you have to really understand, as a business trying to grow, your goal here is to establish how much it costs to go get a new customer and then push on that as hard as possible. Once you can tap into that and establish that, then you can scale aggressively, given that you've got LTV, returning customer rate, that kind of unlock. Now, most brands don't have that unlock, but you've got to figure out, okay, how much is a customer actually worth to me? Okay, their average order value on their first order is maybe $100, but in 6 months, they're spending $500 with me. Now, am I willing to spend only $50 to capture them, or am I willing to spend $250 to capture them, knowing I have runway of 6 months? Now, some companies, bigger companies, are willing to lose money on the first 2 to 3 months. Right? How are you going to compete with them? Well, then it comes down to strategy, creative, these sorts of things. But if you're willing to spend more, given that you know your LTV to CAC, your lifetime value to customer acquisition costs, and you're factoring in that into your front end purchasing of customers, new customers, you can now have a scalable model. But you have to do it from a numbers perspective. You have to reverse engineer your whole business.
This is really interesting for me because I've been around e-commerce. I've been around paid ads and Facebook ads, Google ads. But I haven't actually, a lot of the clients during the year are quite reactive and they're just saying, the sales, cost per acquisition is this now, it's that now. But what you're actually talking about is looking at it from like a bird's eye view, the year as a whole, planning here to get to here. So when we're here, that it's, we're making a lot of sales, where I think a lot of businesses are worried about the now. And I think that's a problem.
Definitely.
They're just worried about, okay, like what are my sales now? What's my cost per acquisition now? It's a bit high, it's a bit low. But like what you're saying is like, yes, it matters, but it's in the strategy for the sale period where it all comes together. Because as you just said, there's nothing you can do once you get to that sale period if you haven't done the training, if you haven't built up for that. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. And the thing is as well, like people they're like, okay, Black Friday, like it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that your Q1 is just a complete flop as well.
Yeah.
So you have to factor in that your Q1 isn't going to be great.
Yeah.
So you need to really go hard at the Black Friday sale, right? Because the harder you go in the peak seasons, then your goal here is to increase your baseline revenue on a monthly basis without promos, for example, right? And then when these high demand seasons come in, Black Friday, end of financial year, New Year's, depending on the brand, you get a big influx of sales and hopefully new customers buying your products for the first time.
Yeah.
Then hopefully, if you structure it right, you get an increase in baseline. Now you're going up, you're not getting, your peaks are higher, but your troughs aren't as low as coming back to baseline. So you're constantly going up, but with peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
Right. And the trajectory is in the right direction.
And this is where, for me, it doesn't make sense. And this is why I've always been a little bit about e-com and that sort of thing. When you get a client talking to an agency, and then the client says to this agency, well, that agency they said they can get me this ROAS or that ROAS. Well, what you're talking about is really like it doesn't make actual sense to be chatting that way.
Yeah,
and I think this is the whole point of what I've just actually personally learned. Those conversations don't make sense unless you understand the actual strategy. You know what I mean? Behind what actually happened for the whole year and why the ROAS was this and what the intention was. And I can tell you right now, most agencies aren't having that conversation during the pitch time, and that the client should be concerned about that. I want to talk about, why you said Meta is your strong sort of suit. What got you started with Meta? Like why Meta? Like that's all I want to know.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a business where I was doing business coaching with one of my business partners in the fitness space of personal trainers, and we decided to run ads. And I was like, oh, I'll run ads. I'll see how it goes. And, within actually 2 months, we did a 65X. We did a 65 ROAS.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I'm really good at Meta.
For your consulting.
Yeah. But it was service-based high ticket. And, I was like, it might have been delusional at the time. I was like, wow, I'm really good at Meta. Meta's easy, right? And then, things didn't always go as well over that period of time. But then I started just going like, okay, I'm gonna advertise as one of my things. Meta's gonna be that thing.
Yeah.
Because that's
something.
Yeah, and that's like one of the lowest hanging fruits in terms of businesses. That's like the first thing you want to like focus on. Either you're a Meta first business or a Google first business. So I went after Meta first businesses, and really I just went in the trenches. I just went deep and literally learned on the job. And even more recently, it's like Meta's algorithm moves so fast, as well as Google SEO. Like all these algorithms move so fast that if you're not on the ads manager 24/7 and you don't have enough clients to figure out problems, because when an algorithmic change happens, they don't always tell you.
Yeah.
So when you've got numerous accounts just overnight, or like over like a couple of hours, just crashing, you go, there's something wrong here. Something's going on.
Yeah.
So that is like one of the things that I really enjoy about Meta, because I think more recently, we've had one of the biggest changes in Meta in the last 4 months. Okay. Now, I've audited, I reckon, at least 50 agencies globally at the moment in the last probably
Tell us
month.
the worst agency. No, don't.
So I've audited about 50 agencies, and I'm sure there are some agencies out there who are across this. Yeah. I just haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure there are. But the new algorithm change has been so dramatic on...
Just for the people that don't know, what is the... You can say what it is?
Yeah. So the algorithmic change, essentially, it's called Meta Andromeda. It's essentially what Meta is trying to do is what Zuckerberg said earlier in the year. Meta wants you to just put in your product or your website and tell them how much to bid, and it goes after consumers. Now, with what that means is they don't just go from what Meta's algorithm now to that is they make changes over time. So instead of Meta was about 50% technical, 50% creative.
Yes.
And now it's like 90% creative, 10% technical.
Yeah.
Right. And the system has become so good with AI that you can launch so many creatives simultaneously, and Meta its retrieval mode allows you to figure out which ad's not going to work at all. It won't even push it. Right.
Yeah.
And so the optimization doesn't necessarily come down to turning ads on and off, high performing, low performing. It doesn't really come down to that. It comes more as this is way too much sauce, but it comes down to a holistic view of your Meta ad account as opposed to turning on and off ads. It works in ad combinations as opposed to single winning ads. Now, single winning ads do play a part, but no one is seeing one. Most people aren't just seeing one ad. They're seeing multiple ads from your company before they even make the purchasing decision.
Well, just on that point, I don't think it was too much loss because for me, I'm not an e-commerce paid specialist, but I've got a client that I've scaled from 50 to 1 to 2K a day.
Yeah.
And all I've been doing is letting Meta do the work, and I've just been throwing in creatives and slight variations. And if I can do it, like you say, just putting that energy in the right thing now, the right creative, the right angle. You've got to know marketing. You've got to know those angles. It's not like it used to be before where there were little Meta hacks and you could target this audience, that audience.
Exactly. And that's where the whole way of even structuring things in a Meta account is actually simplified significantly. It's more about understanding your consumer, understanding the messaging. And this is where creative is about to go. And if not already gone, like we've already started producing AI creatives and mass producing them. This is where the market is going to go, where it's going to be flooded with just AI, right? And who can produce the most amount of creatives and the best messaging to the customer or to the new customer to get them to buy their product. And it's always been like that. I'm not saying it hasn't been like that. It's always been like that. But the amount of change that it contributes has increased so dramatically that you literally don't even honestly, to media buy on Meta has become pretty much autonomous. Like it's so easy.
Even I can do it. Right. So, I mean, that is a point in itself. I want to talk about two more things. We did speak about the Black Friday strategy. A big thing that I'd love to hear from you is once the Black Friday happens and Black Friday month or whatever you want to call it, what is that going to be? What is going to be that retention strategy? And specifically, I'm interested in chatting about email as well because I hear a lot of big things from email, right? Yeah. What are the tools? Is there a strategy that, because a lot of these businesses are going to be coming into Jan, very worried, they're going to have a great month and then, so what's the retention strategy? Yeah,
so the retention strategy is firstly expect after Black Friday sales to plummet. Now, there is a period called the post Black Friday sales. Now, what you have to do, and if everyone does, it's not going to work. So what you have to do in the market is you have to actually go against what the market's necessarily doing. Yeah. So what tends to happen after Black Friday, people start dropping their ad spend. There's less consumer demand. This actually most of the time gives you an edge to go and push post Black Friday acquisition, right? Now, yes, there's less consumer demand, but there's also less competition, which now you can kind of press on that edge. And then you've got to set up your December side of things. Now, December's most of the time going to be really good as well. You've got Christmas, Boxing Day, the holiday season. December's tends to be really good. Again, then you go into January is where all your sales dip. Now, your sales will dip a lot. There's no doubt about it. But how much they dip, you really can't control. It can be very, very erratic. But what you can do is, depending on where your business is at and how well you did on Black Friday, now people are spending way less in January. Yeah. Right, people are firing their agencies. Right, the people are definitely spending less. Companies are spending less on ad spend. So once again, if you're going after new customers and you've also got a loyal customer base, they might want to be repurchasing in January. This is where you want to press your edge, and you've got to take advantage of what brands are most likely not going to do, right, or what they're going to do and just do the opposite. That's really the only thing you can do in the market. I would really recommend structuring out collection drops, testing out offerings, and really trying to prep yourself up for it. Depends on your brand as well, with seasonal, like summer and where that kind of lies. Yeah. Some Januaries for brands aren't going to be bad because it's summer, in Australia at least. Yeah. But some brands will tank, right? Especially if they don't have seasons with them. Yeah. So it's really about,
cash flow management as well.
Exactly right. So that's why it's super important that you get your November and December right, so you can handle the backlash from your January, February periods, and then you can start leading up again to building out or handling just like the crash, right?
Yeah.
But building out those early parts of the year, it's okay. Like now we actually have time to like build out offerings, build out new collections or whatever it might be. You have a lot of time to test, and also there's less competition in the market because people are spending less, right? Yeah, there is less consumer demand, but this is where you can kind of not necessarily, you don't go full throttle and spend as much as you were in November. You can, but you just have to be realistic with your expectations.
Yeah. I think the whole thing out of this conversation really has been that, this is my personal experience, I don't know about yours, but a lot of the businesses, especially e-com, they're very fixated on the now, and you keep on emphasizing the holistic picture. And I think that's the core. The last question I have for you is, you mentioned a little bit about AI. Where is the AI going in? Obviously, we've seen with Meta and even SEO and Google, and it's sort of, SEO is not dead yet, but where do you see, the AI sort of taking this? I mean, I've seen some very interesting things like, people purchasing directly from ChatGPT, that Shopify integration. I've only skimmed over that, but like, where do you sort of see this moving?
Yeah. So honestly, I think the internet's going to be like, just from an advertising perspective. We won't talk about the human race perspective. I don't want that rabbit hole unlocked here.
We'll do another podcast.
Yeah, that'll be part 2. So in terms of advertising, I definitely believe that the algorithms AIs are just so much better at targeting the right person right now. And it's going to come down to AI generation, images, videos. I mean, it's already here. Like, we're having a conversation that's already here. It's just how many people are going to adopt it and at what speed, right? You've got certain platforms, big SaaS platforms that are able to look at competitors. You're able to see their ads, and then you're able to duplicate them with your own brand with AI. It's seamlessly. It's actually kind of annoying, to be honest with you, because it's going to really come to the point where, and I think people are really underestimating how fast this stuff is happening with it, just because you don't see it happening. Like, it happens, like the biggest needle movers right now is content volume. What produces content volume faster than AI? Nothing. So that's where that can come in. And then I think the likeness of, influencers is no one's going to be using real influencers. It's going to be influencer likeness. This has been talked about by Gary Vee. I have friends doing, digital twins and stuff like that. Like, I think that's where the whole market is moving, where it's like, and this is actually happening on organic social media heavily, where you've got AI influencers that are making millions, billions of dollars right now. And I think that's where the whole market's going to be. It's going to be moving to that direction. I think there's going to be a counter effect. Potentially, we'll see how crazy AI gets. That where the human touch might make you actually stand out of the market, as opposed to not leading the market. But I guess we'll wait and see over that one.
Well, man, thank you so much. It's been super insightful, having you on this today, and I appreciate you, accepting the podcast. And man, like, what's in store now for you, and where can the people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my Instagram or thelineadvisory.com. On my Instagram, it's Jude_DE. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Dean will drop the links in the bio, hopefully. You can find me there for what's in store for me. Honestly, I'm just really keen of where this end of year is just. Q4 is my favorite period at the time.
For e-commerce.
It's fair, with a lot of case studies are going to come out of this. And they're already starting to come, actually. So we're in a good place in e-com. It's a fun time. Lots of money to be made. Lots of consumer demand to be captured, and just looking forward to it all.
Yeah, very exciting, man. Thank you guys so much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Peace.
Done, man.